Hello and welcome to season 6 of Taboo Talk, the podcast brought to you by Boots that asks the seriously awkward health and wellness questions so you don't have to. I'm your host Vogue Williams, and today we're talking about heartbreak, an experience that transcends borders, cultures and generations. But here's the thing about heartbreak. Despite being such a common and natural part of life, it's often shrouded in stigma and stereotypes that can make the healing process even more challenging. Society at times expects us to quickly move on, to put on a brave face, or worse, to hide our emotions entirely, or make us feel there's something wrong with us. We're often told that time will heal all wounds, as if heartbreak were a mere scrape or bruise that's easily forgotten. I'm joined by two fabulous guests who've experienced heartbreak and have navigated through the societal pressures and expectations while emerging stronger than ever before. I'd like to introduce my first guest, Una Healy. Irish singer Una was in the girl band The Saturdays. She's also a TV personality, songwriter and solo performer. She has 2 children with her ex-husband, rugby union star Ben Foden. They separated in 2018 after 6 years of marriage. She has had relationships since, but says she's looking for one special man to share her life with. Next up is Faye Winter. Faye is an English television presenter. In 2021, she was a finalist on Love Island, and in 2022, she appeared as a contestant on Celebrity MasterChef. When Faye was on Love Island, she found love with fellow contestant Teddy Soares, but unfortunately, the couple parted ways earlier this year, which Faye says was a heartbreaking and difficult time for her. So, can you share your personal experience with heartbreak?
Yeah, okay. What, my first ever one or just overall?
Just like probably your biggest heartbreak.
Okay, I genuinely thought I was dying. I literally just put me 6 foot down. Like I don't know where I need to go or where I want to turn or who can help me, because everyone was just like, yeah, you just got to get over them and you just got to keep going forward. And I'm like, I know this, I know, but yeah, I actually genuinely wanted to be 6 foot down. It was horrendous. I lost so much weight. I was stressed. I didn't have somebody to speak to. Like, oh, it's just dramatic, isn't it?
Yeah.
And now I'm like, silly girl.
It's funny when you look back and you can see how upset you were, and it's like, oh God, if I could just tell myself, like in 6 and like everyone always says that, and it's the most annoying thing. Time is the only healer, but it actually is. It is. It's
at
the
the time,
only.
though, at the time, it is just the worst thing. And when you wake up, you're like waking up, and you go, oh no, it is real. You know that feeling, because you want it to be like a nightmare, and you just wake up like so sad, and you just mope around, and everything just seems sad around you. Like there's no joy in anything anymore. But there is, the only way through it is to go through it and get out the other end with time. You know, there's nothing else that's going to heal it, and you don't want to hear that at the time either. You do not want to hear it.
You never do.
But listen to loads of like sad songs. They help.
I listen to Esther Perel. You know that if she does these TED talks, and I listen to her talking about like getting over breakups and all those kind of things, and it's like, yeah, I can do it. Like, definitely. Yeah. But when you're in it, it's like it is kind of like a grieving process. I think
it is. It's like a death.
Yeah.
But the only thing is that they're still alive.
Which is unfortunate.
You know, which it can be unfortunate. Yeah. That sounds bad. But it is actually a grief, because you've lost this person that was like such a big part of your life, that you were doing everyday things with, the person that you'd speak to all the time. Then they're just gone. Mm-hmm. And that is like a death, you know. But yeah, I do think that music is one of the biggest healers for it all, though, to get through.
Oh yeah, I listen to loads of just pop. I can't lie, like loads
of
like pop breakup songs. Yeah, like I couldn't even, and I'd sing them so loud as well. And I genuinely thought I was in the Saturdays. I was like, listen, I'm having a great time.
We'll join. Do you think that there's like a common stereotype about people going through heartbreak?
Yeah, I think so. I think that there's always this. I think unless when you're in it, it is the worst feeling in the world. But when you see someone else go through it, it's kind of like, oh, man up. Like, come on.
Yeah.
When you're seeing it from the outside, you go, like, come on, get over it. Like, obviously, they're not right for you. Look at the way they were treating you.
Yes.
Blah, 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 blah. But then when it happens to you, you know, when your friends are giving you the advice, look, you're better off. Like, look how bad it was. But you want the friends to be saying, I think he's going to get in touch. I think you're going to get. You want to hear that? You're like, tell me that.
He's regretting this. Do you feel judged though by people when you're going through heartbreak? Because people are just like, okay, like I kind of, and I feel really mean, but my sister went through a heartbreak, and after about 3 months, I was like, okay, we're done now. Like, I'm sorry, but I can't keep going over the same stuff.
Yeah, I guess so. You know, but it takes like, you know, quite a bit of time for some people to process the whole thing and to realise that, you know, they're better off without them.
Are you still in the anger phase?
No, I'm over that. I'm in the you didn't exist phase. Like, I'm cool. Like, and when
that's a
people
good one.
tell me things that, you know, they've heard, I'm now like, I don't care.
I don't understand why people do that though. I don't think you're doing anyone a favour by being like, did you hear what he did?
Yeah,
when
you shouldn't
it's
do
like,
that.
don't
No,
tell me.
Oh, I kind of like it. I love a gossip.
Even
I'm
like
like, I
about
love a
yourself.
gossip. But also, you can't get away from it, especially like in this, like, you can't get away from it.
He sounds like he's a bit of a mouth. He sounds like he likes to talk and say things. Like some men are just really quiet and keep all their feelings to themselves, but he sounds like he does it outside of not to you, but to other people, and that's how you hear it back.
Does. I let him get on with it.
So he still goes on about it.
Well, I don't know. I think, this ain't my first rodeo. I've broken up with many of you. So when I speak about breakups and
Yeah.
heartache, I'm not speaking about
the most recent one. Yeah.
particular
Yeah, that's true.
heartbreak. So but it always obviously gets led back to
Yeah,
the one that
that-
was in the public
Yes,
eye,
yeah.
which obviously fine, I get it. But honey, I had my heart broken worse than that before.
Do you ever feel like there's a sense of weakness about somebody who's going through a breakup, like that they're kind of weak, that they can't just be like, move on, like just get on
Yeah.
with it?
Well, I've been weak from a very young age in that case. Then, well, I found strength, and I used to write, like, that's where I started writing my songs when I was 12.
Yeah.
And I was actually looking through an old tape of all the songs that I wrote, like all throughout my teens. And it was horrific. The feelings I was having were very intense of these heartbreaks. Like literally, I wrote one called, the first song was called I Miss You. Then it was The Words Won't Come. That's where I wanted to break up with someone and I couldn't get the words out.
Yeah.
And then it was like, then I got to a point where I felt at the age of 20 that I was going to be left on the shelf. And I wrote a song called
20.
Rusty, Dusty and Musty. I swear, it was called Rusty, Dusty and Musty, sitting on the shelf. And so maybe it was a premonition, I don't know. But that song, it got me through. And it was kind of just taking it light of the whole thing as well, because like I was writing all these really sad songs about like, oh, will you come back to me and all that. And then I was like, you know what, I'm probably just going to be Rusty and Dusty on the shelf. And the song...
At age 20.
At age 20. And the song, in fairness, that song actually did wonders for me because it was the first song I got played on radio. So to join the Irish Music Rights Organisation, you had to have a song, basically getting a song published in a way like getting it on radio. So I sent it into Tip FM. They played it once and they liked it so much they kept playing it, and it was like playlisted on Tip FM, Rusty, Dusty, Musty. So
That's so
yeah.
cute. And then you wrote songs like Ego, and I mean that got me through my breakup.
I didn't write Ego. But we sang on it. But you're right,
You sang
though.
it,
Music
yeah, and I
helps
can
you through.
tell you now that one was a good one.
Do you find music gets you through breakups then?
Yeah, but I need like upbeat, like those kind of songs.
Anthem.
I don't really want like Adele, Hello. I love the
No.
song,
Oh,
but
yeah.
if I'm down and like I need something that's like empowering.
Yeah.
Like I need something that's like I hate you all. That is basically me though.
I remember being a teenager though when Tony Braxton had Unbreak
Oh,
My
yeah,
Heart.
yeah, yeah.
And it was like, like crying into the pillow. But
When
like,
you
I
look
don't-
back at old heartbreak like that when you're younger though, it doesn't I feel like it doesn't, like it's just not the same as like when you're older and you're going through heartbreak. And you talk about like being left on the shelf at the age of 20, but like when you get to an older age, like for you when you had your big breakup, like how did that feel? Did you feel like blame for any of it?
It's funny because when I was younger and I had these like very short-lived relationships, literally 2-monthers, you know, that was the standard time frame on each relationship.
Sorry, that was a long
They were
relationship.
like full-on boyfriends, 2 months, next, you know.
Like I love you.
Oh, straight away, yeah. But they weren't real. They were just infatuation, and it was just like, you know, it was lovely, and then it didn't work out. But then when you find that person that you decide to stay with, to marry, and to live with, and all of that, and when that ends, that's where your whole world is turned upside down because you build a life with the person, you know. So it's different than just, oh, I miss you so much. You know, it's just trying to figure out where you're going to start with rebuilding your life, and it is a big long process, you know.
Well,
with
it's
kids
about
involved
like
and everything.
moving all your stuff. Like,
We'd shared bank accounts. We'd shared like obviously the house. We'd shared so much stuff. Like it was like even the things in the house is like who owns this or who owns that. It's just a headache.
It's never nice, is it? Like,
No.
like I can never. My first breakup, I can always remember. I wanted to go and get my stuff, and I literally had an hour window, and I rang my cousin, and I was like, I need you at this address. I've got an hour to get my stuff out. And the main important thing was the cats. And I remember chasing them around the house.
trying
And
to
back
get the
then I was like, oh my God. And I remember passing my ex on the road, and he knew full well I was on the way to that house to go and get my stuff. And I was like, oh, and then obviously the last time when I moved back to Devon, I was like, I had to sort out this whole house by myself. The amount of times that I was like, can you please come back and help me? Can you look, I don't want to get back to you. I don't want to talk about the situation. I genuinely just need help. Like, I've written my car off. I didn't have a car at the time. I couldn't drive anywhere. I had Bonnie, who was tiny little puppy. And I was like, can you please? And he was like 20 minutes away. His brothers just wouldn't help with anything and putting stories on Instagram crying. And the worst bit is that when he was uploading those stories,
he was putting a story crying into the camera.
Yeah, which is, I get that. Like, some people, obviously, that's how they cope with it. That's fine. But actually, when he was uploading those stories, he was out.
Yeah.
And he was out clubbing. So I can't get on board with that. So I'm just like... and then I just do this thing where I just go strong.
Crying and him out enjoying himself. Oh.
I just go strong.
I think there's two things. Crying into the camera on Instagram and putting up a picture when you're in hospital they're my two icks. They're my Insta icks.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I just can't.
Yeah, like I'm not going to say I
can't
cry.
say that, no, because I will be done here.
No,
so
but like I have moments. I don't cry a lot now, but when I'd have a good old cry. But I'm not going to whip the phone out and start filming myself, let alone upload it and for everyone else to see. It's just a personal time. You know?
Particularly
it's attention seeking. That's what it is. I think a lot. Maybe not actually. Look, that's unfair to some people. Actually, maybe that want to say something while crying.
Yeah.
But if it's just crying and saying nothing, and this is the worst thing when they don't actually explain what they're crying about. Yeah. It's different if they're going, do you know what? I'm really upset. Something so horrible happened yesterday, and I'm crying. That's fair enough. Or I'm going through this. This is terrible. When they just do the crying and then kind of like. And so it's like a quote. I hate those quotes as well. Yeah,
no,
and
it's
it's a
so
dig
cryptic.
to someone.
Yeah,
cryptic.
It was so cryptic. But I really wanted to walk into because he'd taken it against the bed, which was in our spare bedroom because he wasn't staying in our bedroom at the time. And I wanted to walk in and film the bedroom. Like, he's not here. Like, he's out. So I don't know why he's uploading. But obviously, I got so much stick from everyone, and it had already set the narrative that our breakup was I was evil and he was...
Why were you the evil one? How did that happen?
Because I go strong. So I'm like, okay, I need to sort the house out. I need to sort my own place to live. I need to sort a car out. I need to sort things. I need to get the wheels in motion. I'm unhappy here. I'm by myself. I'm lonely as hell. I dropped so much weight I didn't even recognise myself, and I was like, I need to get myself out of this situation. Like, no one's going to get me out of it.
Yeah.
And then,
someone has to do it. That's the thing. So you were
and it's like, okay, he wasn't here. Like, he just wasn't around. So I was like, right, okay, I'm doing that. I'm sorting the car out. I went and picked my car up by myself. I had to. So I was like, I just need to put like wheels in action, basically. Wheels in motion. That's the right thing, isn't it? Yeah. So I was like, I just need to get things done. I booked the removals. I done everything like that, and I just literally took everything out of the house.
I did exactly the same thing when we split up and when everything had to be done with the house. Like, I arranged all the removals. I did everything. Got like all the bills
Did you
cancelled,
go straight back home
everything.
to Tip?
No. I stayed for a few months before I decided what to do, and actually then moved up the road to a different county in England. Like, I was in Northamptonshire and then I went to Warwickshire. But then I ended up moving home. But I like that as well. I got no help whatsoever with any of that. I just think they're so lazy. They just know it's going to be done. So that's why you have to be strong, you know, because who else is going to do it then? You know, you have to.
You got to sort yourself out. You talk a lot about social media. Your breakup was very public on social media. Do you think that social media helps, or is it bad in a breakup?
I've not been myself on my social media for a year because everything I do, everything I say, I feel like gets taken back to that point. Like, people have always got something to say. Oh, you're uploading that picture because you want attention. You want and I'm like, do you know what? I'm actually really happy in my life with my dog at home, with the people around me that love me. So I actually don't need justification from any of these people on social media. I think when we were going through the breakup, I think looking back, however hard the heartbreak was, I wanted to do the breakup a lot sooner, and I was too scared of the public's opinion because of how I was perceived on a show in one certain scene that I couldn't do it. Because actually, when we came out of the villa, and the difference
for any
was
listeners,
phenomenal.
Love Island Villa.
The Love Island Villa, yeah. So when we came out of the Love Island Villa, then I always had this stigma, and he always had a stigma that was brilliant, and I had the stigma that was terrible. And I was like, oh God, like, whatever happens, I'm the bad person here. Like, even to the point that I was being called an abuser. And I've still got all my receipts. So if ever the day comes, anyone needs any from me, honey, you can have them all. But I'm just like, it's just not the truth. And that show is really not real. And I think I love the show. I love it. I love being a part of it. I take everything that I done on the chin and I say, yeah, I fucked up. I done wrong, but there we go, have it. And then I think, actually, it's not as it was. So I'd love for people to actually see behind closed doors before they make
because they
that
edited,
judgment.
like, you know, and you know, you sometimes I do things every day. You ask me what I did yesterday, and I'm like, what did I do? So how are you going to remember everything that you said? And you sometimes say things that you don't mean, or it just comes out, and then but like it's there forever. Then once they edit it and it's in a show, you can't get away from it. That's so annoying.
And that's I guess that's why social media can be quite bad. You just can't escape it. Especially, I always find block them and just
Block.
Don't do it yourself by going back and looking at their Instagram, and because it's just going to make it harder for yourself. How did you feel your breakups affected your mental health? Because I know when I went through a really big breakup, I went on anxiety tablets and I started seeing a therapist, and I think it really made my mental health just like plummet. And particularly I think with a marriage, I don't know about you, it's really embarrassing to get divorced. It's not just like breaking up. Like breaking up is embarrassing, but when it's a marriage, it's like,
yeah,
God, really
I felt embarrassed in the town that I was still in. That's why I moved, because I just felt embarrassed. I felt when I went to the shop that literally everyone was looking at me going, oh, there she is. Oh, is she all right? But, you know, and it's like, I just had to get away from that because we were a couple in that town. It is embarrassing. Obviously, it was the right thing to do. We needed to split up and to divorce because we couldn't stay together, you know. This is just the way it was. So you always feel like you're judged by people, and you always see the couples and the families and everything, and you just feel so lonely because, like, that's not you anymore. And it's really hard. But to be honest, I thought it was when we decided together, we're like, yeah, we'll get divorced very quickly, you know, after he admitted he, you know, did what he did. We both said, okay. And we actually were both delighted, you know, with the decision because it had been rumbling for a while. And actually then to just decide, right, this is it. And I actually had a great time. I dyed my hair blonde. I went platinum like the pair. It could be the three blondes here today, but no, it didn't last long. But I was like, woohoo! I got all blonde, loads of extensions in. I went out to LA. You know, I met a fella on the Rhea and had a great time. And I was like, you know, it was actually woohoo, but that's very short lived. That's kind of like an illusion in a way.
It's like the honeymoon after.
It was the honeymoon after. I loved it. I actually did. But then it was more like I would say to anyone that is coming out of divorce, I would wait to get into a relationship with someone so quickly because I was going through the whole like sorting the house out, doing all that, and I met someone very quickly afterwards who actually, he came to me. I didn't go out looking for anyone. I just wanted to have a bit of crack on the Rhea, you know, over in LA. But then I got.
Did you literally go straight on the apps?
I think I did just that one. I just went on that one, and then it's so annoying because it's so long. You're like chatting to people, and then some are, you know, there's a good bit of banter going on. And then sometimes they just don't, and it's like tumbleweed, and it's very time consuming. Yeah, you know. So, but I just had, you know, that bit of fun. And then I got back, and then someone came to me, and we ended up going out straight away, you know, and it's just too soon. And they have to hear you talking about the divorce all the time, which must be a pain in the arse as well, you know. Yeah. But at the same time, they shouldn't be coming near you when you're going through this. Stay away.
I think of like the best thing I ever did after a breakup was like, I didn't take long enough because I ended up meeting Spencer quite quickly. Yeah. But when I met him, I was like, no. I was like, I want to be single. Like, it's so important to be single. I'm really enjoying being single for the first time in my life because I'd always been in these long relationships. So I think anyone going through heartbreak, try and take that time for yourself.
Yeah. Oh, 1,000,000%. Yeah. 1,000,000%. I'm now coming up to a year. Well, 9 months.
Good. That's really good.
And I've not had the desire to date anyone. I mean, shag, yeah, why not? But I think like to date somebody and sit opposite a table, like, no, I don't want it. Like, get away from me. I don't want to have a conversation with you. That makes it sound like a hoe.
No, it's just enjoying yourself being single. You don't want to build a relationship with one person.
I don't want to.
You know, it's just not.
But like folks said, like, it's my first time in my life that I've been able to fully afford the house that I want to live in and be able to watch what I want on the TV. It's not even about like, for me, being single isn't about going out every weekend getting drunk.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. There's a real like
that's not for me. I've never been that single. Yeah, and that's not me. So I don't do that still to this day. My favourite thing to do is go on long dog walks and like go to the pub and have a cider. Like, that's what I love to do. Yeah. And I just am really taking that time to enjoy it.
Yeah, nice. I think you need it after a breakup. What other things did you do to get through your breakups? Like, did you do the whole self-help books?
Well, I said, dyed the hair blonde and did that. But it's now, especially with Instagram, you see all the time, you know, they're always coming up for me, especially all these like little videos, short videos of how like to appreciate yourself and realised that person wasn't right and all that. It's just self-help is everywhere. It's almost overwhelming the amount of self-help that's out there now. There's actually, I try, and it's always coming up on my For You page. I'm always seeing the word
what are you looking
narcissist. How to spot a narcissist. And it's like, why does this keep coming up all the time for me? What am I looking at that it keeps coming up? Avoid them. And going, you are better. It's like, there was one, you are better off alone rather than being with someone and feeling alone. And I was like, duh. That was the one I was like, that hit deep.
You were like, straight through the chest. Yeah. No, I don't think I did anything like that. I think my self-help was literally moving back to Devon. I dyed my hair blonder.
Yeah.
And it's really weird because I was in therapy a lot before my breakup.
Yeah.
I went through my breakup and I've never needed therapy again.
Great.
Weird. It was literally like, poof, welcome to the world again, Faye. Like,
did you feel though, because you were obviously like you were together from Love Island, did you kind of feel like you had to try and stay together because of the show?
I think I especially did, and I let a lot slip. And it's taken me a good year to be able to say with my hand on my heart, I know I'm a good person and I know I've got a heart of gold, but actually I had that question so much that I was like, actually, am I a really terrible person?
That's just a really good point to make actually about relationships, that some people can bring out not the worst in you. It's actually a side that isn't real. It's like they just bring out this terrible, it's like a demon comes out because they're bringing it in, they're putting it into you. Like I've been in relationships, short-term ones, because I've never actually had anything too serious since I've never lived with a man since my ex, which is 5 years, my ex-husband. But I've had a couple of short-lived relationships where they were toxic, and what was happening, it was the way they were treating me was making me feel so bad. This side was coming out that is not necessarily with, like, it doesn't happen with your friends, people that you're around all the time. So why is it just with this person? It's because they're doing it. It's like the whole gaslighting and all of that. But yeah, there's loads of the videos all over Instagram on that.
Get on Una's Instagram.
Yeah, get on my Instagram. And
let's just go to your Explore page.
But they all do you a favour in the end, like, because you just, they tip you to the edge and you're just like, get out. You either break up with them or they break up with you, whatever it is. But you're so much better off without them.
I feel like some people are really good at breakups. When they break up, they're done. They never see the person again.
Oh yeah, they do the whole...
I'm a long goodbye.
Oh,
I love the long goodbye. I'm like, oh God, go on, let's get back together.
Yeah.
Let's try one more time.
You should have broken up, and that's when you start turning into somebody that you don't recognize.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
because it's over as well.
Yeah.
So when you start meeting up, still, that's one thing I'd say as well. Don't do this whole long goodbyes, because you see them and it's over, and they're already looking and they're on dating apps and they're talking to other people, and it's so toxic. You're still kind of seeing them. Oh, don't do that. I think that's it. When it's over, it's over. If they say they don't want you or vice versa, just leave it.
You have to.
Yeah.
Here's a question now. Have you got closure from your relationship?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy. I'm moving on. Like, I'm on to different things, and that's fine. Like, I'm doing me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not worrying about a relationship. They don't establish me as a person. So I'm like, no, I'm good. I've got closure. I never
think it's so important to get closure.
Need to speak to him again. But I think I had closure the moment I broke up with him, because we actually broke up over a cup of tea. So and it was literally, I just looked at him and I was like, do you know what? I'm done. And I was like, I can't actually do this anymore, because I was like, I'm just finished with this. And I was like, I'm done. And I think at that moment I was like, yeah, like, that's the closure I need. Like, I don't need to speak to him ever again to get. I don't get closure from him. I get closure from myself.
Yeah. What about you, Una?
Like, is this just about the one?
Well,
or
the main, the divorce.
Oh, definitely. Like, I'm truly happy for him that he's happy and has found love again and has started a whole new family, because he's the father of my children. So I always want to wish him happiness. That
must be really tough, going through a breakup, then all that, but navigating your kids as well through a breakup. How did you manage that?
I don't know, because they were so young as well. I think maybe it was good that they were quite young, so they were 3 and 6.
Yeah.
But they just know that's their life, whatever way it has happened. Also, while I was in the UK, there was a lot of their friends in the same boat, because I was saying in Ireland, the divorce rate's very low, whereas in the UK it's 50%, I think, or close to 50%. So they had loads of kids, and actually the first thing Aoife said to me, I remember, like, when I said, me and your daddy we're going to be not going to be together anymore. She was old enough, so he was only 3. He hadn't a clue really what was going on.
Yeah.
And she went, oh, so there was a girl in her class. I won't say her name, but let's say her name was Mary.
Yeah.
So she said she definitely wasn't
The
Mary.
most Irish name.
Yeah, in England, Mary. I said, so me and your daddy aren't going to be together anymore. And she went, oh, so I'm going to be like Mary. And I was like, yeah.
Good analogy.
So she thought it was great. Yeah, because Mary I've a great time. But Mary was to and from between the parents. Like,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
a co-parenting situation. And it did start like that for a while. But like, you know, they have got like kids have great holiday time with their dad. Like they spend Christmas and summers. And he in fairness, treats them so well when he's with them and their stepmother and their little sister. So, yeah.
But did you find, like, when you broke up, like, where did you get that time to grieve? Because they're around you all the time. And you kind of have to put on that brave face, like, you're fine.
Yeah, you just have to put on the brave face. I was really lucky that when it happened, I had a lot of friends in the local area. We were all like basically single moms, and we'd always get together and have a great crack giving out, you know, giving out about them all the time. But then that was part of the grief. I think that was it.
Yeah.
Like, I think your friends,
Venting.
people underestimate the value of friendship and to have your army of friends, be it your men or women, not to say that men can't and women can't be friends, but your friends, to have them in a friendship group around
I feel
you
like
to help
men
you
don't
through.
talk about it enough, though.
No,
if they're
they don't
through,
talk.
No.
They don't really. Now, there's the odd man that will, you know, there'll always be one. Yeah, but
I feel like as
in
well,
general,
when,
no.
you know, when you're going through a breakup and you know that you're being really annoying and it's gotten to the stage where it's like, shut up.
Yeah, telling your friends,
And you
like, stop
can't-
talking about it.
And you can't stop, and you're like, right, who else can I say it to?
you know,
I'll repeat the same.
Yeah, you know the ones that stop responding. They're like, and you give them like a nudge. No, they're done with you because they're sick and tired of you giving out and wanting something to help
I
you through.
always try and be helpful, but I give it like there's a 3-month limit for me where I'm like, I can't keep talking about the same thing.
No.
After 3 months, I'm like, you gotta change the narrative. Like, I can't. Do you feel like that with heartbreak though? When you're going through it, like, do your family and friends understand what you're going through? Are they kind of like, you shut up?
I know my friends all have been sort of through it as well.
Yeah.
You know, so I
Yeah.
think the best way that I've dealt with it with my friends, we just like have a good old laugh at them at their expense. They don't know what's happening, but we are.
Yeah.
That's how we do it. But like, yeah, it is, heartbreak is tough, but it can be fun as well when you get through it. You know, and you look back on it and go, thank you so much
When you look back,
for not being with me anymore.
Yeah.
Thank
When
you.
you get to the point where you can look back at a relationship and be like, thank God, like that just wasn't, and like not if you can hold no bad feeling towards them, and you're just like, like it's so good that you're going doing your own thing and I'm doing my own thing, and like
Yeah.
we never have to see each other again. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I know. The thing is with relationships, a lot of them there's like so much good times too.
No,
it's not.
but I feel
But there were the good
Faye.
times. That's why it lasted. But some things aren't meant to be forever. You know, not all relationships.
No,
are
I
meant
like to
last
focus
forever.
on the negative. I think that's one of my coping mechanisms. So
Just
I
everything,
I would rather think of all the negative things that happened rather than even think of the positives, because I don't want to be in that frame of mind. So I'd rather not look
Yeah, I
back
know
with
what you
any
mean, yeah.
like, oh,
To be
that was
missing
a
them
nice
too much,
time.
yeah.
I'd rather look back and be like, remember that time when he came in really drunk and pissed against the wardrobe? Like, I'd rather remember that.
Why do they always do that?
Oh, I don't know. What,
I have not had that. I have not had that house.
I've seen that happen a couple of times.
What?
Not the same person.
Yeah, no,
Doing
no.
that, come getting up and weeing
I've
into the
never
wardrobe.
seen
Yeah,
that.
I'm like
Yes.
22
I've seen
and I'm
it.
having to clear up like this fully grown man's piss. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the hell is going on?
Oh my God.
Like, I don't want to deal with this. So I don't want, I would rather think of those times and be like, what a knob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose you're
Yeah.
not going to think of all the good times. You're trying to think of.
Yeah.
But I can appreciate what I've got from every relate. Like, I wouldn't have Bonnie now, like my little dog. It means everything to me, who has actually been like my in-house therapist. She's great. I wouldn't have her if it wasn't for my last relationship.
Yeah.
So I take like the positives like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have my second boob job if it wasn't for my first boyfriend. So I'm like, stunning.
My boobs are great.
Thank you.
Do you feel like that about your kids? You feel like at least like I got my beautiful kids
Oh,
from that?
absolutely. I wouldn't change anything of what's ever happened in my life because of them two children. They're like so important to me. They're my everything.
Yeah.
And they're two little people that I've brought into the world. I'm so proud of them, and they would not be here if it wasn't for the union of their dad and myself.
Yeah.
So that's why I have to look back on the fact that it was meant to be. I was meant to be. We were meant to be together. We were put on this earth to to create those two humans, but we just weren't meant to stay together after it.
Yeah. You spoke about having a bit of a midlife crisis after your breakup.
The thing is, I think I was kind of jokingly saying that, but it's actually kind of hit me. I was like, I actually am kind of midlife. I was like, where'd you draw the line in the middle of like, right, where am I at midlife? Because I was like, if I double my age now, what does that put me? I was like, yeah, I think I am middle-aged.
Oh.
Yeah.
But then, you know, some people unfortunately don't live very long, and if you put a middle age on them, they might only be so young. So it's like, where is middle age? I just think it's at that point, that kind of rocky point where you're just a bit like all over the place, and you kind of don't know where you're going, and you're like, whoa, and it's just a bit of a rough one. Yeah.
How did you think that affected the way you behaved?
I'm through my midlife crisis now because I'm out the other end.
Got brown hair
Well, that
again.
was really good.
Yeah. Going blonde was probably a bit of a midlife crisis thing to do. Yeah, like if you have a few of them.
Yeah,
they sprinkle in around the place there in your 30s, and you know when you hit the 40. But I think I'm through that now. Yeah, I'm definitely.
I think that you need to. I think that like after any breakup, you kind of just like you're trying to rediscover yourself in a way, and just like because you're so you're part of like a union, and like you get invited to a dinner party, you always have
other
someone there.
half.
I've got someone to go to this event with, and then it's just gone, and you have to try and figure out doing it all on your own again. And I think that sometimes you can throw the odd wobbler and just act really strange.
Yeah,
it's needed.
Yeah, and then again, it's like when you get older as well, and you're single again. It's a tough world out there for the singletons.
I'm finding that, and I'm 28, and I'm like, hang on a minute.
Really?
Like, I'm finding like now I'm like, wow, how do you even find them? Like, do I even want the ones that are left over?
The thing is, they say that, but like there must be other ways of meeting people that's not through an app.
Well,
you know?
I think you need to be set up.
Tough crowd.
I think though with the apps, I think that like to rely on that, like I don't think I would do that if I was ever single again. Touch wood, I won't be. But like because I don't think I would have swiped for my current husband Spencer. I wouldn't have. He wouldn't have been my type. And
I will.
Sorry, Spencer.
But he knows that. Like
because you need to get to know someone as well, and see if there's a chemistry there. Because I was on the app and I was chatting away to a lad for 6 weeks, and we were like best friends after 6 weeks. But when we met, there was no chemistry there at all.
Fast,
no.
don't you? I feel like
I don't know, but no, wait. But
6
when
weeks
we
best
met,
friends.
Not best friends. Okay, no, we weren't best friends. And I'm OTT there on that, but we were just like chatting all the time, getting on really well.
Yeah.
But it was just a friendship then. He's actually a really nice guy, but it felt so platonic when we met. Like there was no chemistry at all.
Oh no, that's disappointing though. After 6 weeks,
but that's the thing. That's with the app. Like you see this person, you see a picture, and I go, oh, they look cute, and that's nice, and I'm getting on with them. But when you meet in person, you physically can feel like a chemistry, and it just was not there. You know, which is really strange. So that's why I'll never go on an app again.
Will you not?
Never, ever, ever. No.
So do you think the best way to meet somebody is probably just being linked up with friends?
I don't know. It depends.
I nearly got set up with somebody actually through friends, and I was like,
oh, really?
Oh my God, like what do you think of me? You know that way when you're just introduced to somebody and it's like, excuse me? Like, we couldn't be more different. Like, how did you think that was going to work?
It's just the fact that you two are both single and in a friendship.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but when you see them, they're like, I've got the perfect person for you. And then you're like, really? So
no one's ever said that to me either. So that's even more insulting. No one's got anyone for me. Okay, cool.
I think that you're still so young. You've got like the world's your oyster. Like you can go out and
you've just explained middle age starts at 30. I don't believe
No, I've got more than 18 years on this earth. Hopefully.
I would say middle age is like 50, 60. No,
no.
I'm planning to live till I'm 100, so it's 50.
Okay,
I still feel so young, so I don't really know.
So it starts.
That's the thing. Yeah. Do you feel like you and I are the same age? Do you feel like a time constraint? I know when I broke up from my marriage, I just felt like, okay, well now I'm never going to meet anyone and I'm never going to have kids, and that's just the way it's going to be because now I'm 30 and like that's it. Like the ship has sailed. I really felt like that.
I
which
did
is
as well.
Stupid.
Yeah, I did. And now I look back on why was I feeling like that. You do feel the pressure. Maybe that's why I dated so quickly and went into a relationship with someone after my divorce so fast because I felt I need someone. I have to find someone. Oh, I need someone to be with.
Yeah.
I didn't at all. Like and then that just never worked out anyway. For the best, but. Yeah, I did think that there was a lot of pressure on me to find someone, you know, without it, rather than to enjoy being on my own and rediscovering myself, and then maybe meeting somebody organically, like, you know, out and about. But like, I prevented that happening by getting so soon into a relationship that was we're so uncompatible. It was like chalk and cheese. You know?
What would be your top tips for going through a heartbreak, both of you?
I would love to say, like, you have to feel every single emotion. Like, you have to feel it and allow yourself to process it and go through that emotion. That'd be my number one tip. But I think also kind of fake it till you make it with being, like, strong. Like, actually, you do things for you. Like, be that strong be the person that you have always wanted to be, and make that time the time that you're going to make it happen. Like, allow it to be like, this is your single era and you're going to love and discover yourself. Don't think of it as a negative. If you think of it as a negative, it's like downward spiral. But I think if you think of it as actually like a real nice positive, I think good advice is to now you have this extra time, because you don't have to give them the time anymore. You have this extra free time for self-improvement, I would say, because you want a massive glow up after you leave them. You know what I mean? You do not want to be the one that's like, oh, look at her, she's a shell over there after me, and she's like, woo, so
it's kind of the same thing. Fake it till you make it.
Wait, that's it. Go.
I think it comes back to being embarrassed, though. It's like being embarrassed that you failed at a relationship, and you're like, I don't want anyone to know that, like, I'm mortified. Like, I want everyone to think that I'm doing really well.
But it happens to everybody, you know, and
I always think never say no to an invitation. Like, so when you first break up with somebody, you're just like, I want to stay at home and do nothing. Always say yes. Just force. You're not going to want to go. And eventually it will get to the point where you're like, oh, actually, I do want to go now. Like, I know you didn't want to go like 3 weeks ago, but you forced yourself out
Surround
to keep doing
with
it.
good people.
Your friends are so important, aren't they?
And I think that's one thing I really shocked, because I was so far away from everyone. So I was like, oh my God.
So isolated.
Yeah, I was so isolated. Not even having a car, so I couldn't even get anywhere. And I was like, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. But actually that time really made me look at myself and inwards, and when I was like, okay, what do I want to work on? And I actually made a list I've got to this day of like everything I wanted to achieve within a year, and I've done most of it. So I'm like, really actually, I'm all right.
How was the breakup like? Did you spoke a little bit about backlash? Did you just get loads of backlash after it?
Yeah, it was horrendous. It was absolutely horrendous. And I always knew if we were to break up, it was going to be that I was the issue and he was the same. And I always knew that, and I always prepared myself for it. But I think that's why for so long I stayed with him so much longer, because mentally, I couldn't deal with that. Mentally, I wasn't in a good enough place. Like I said, I was in therapy. I was actually not myself at all, that I was like, okay, I also then can't deal with this on top of that. So I can't deal with the extra pressure. So I stayed in that relationship longer than I should have, or that I even wanted to. So obviously, it was. I got a lot of backlash, and then it didn't help, because it was like, whereas I put up a couple of things like, oh God, it's as if I'm only as if I'm only moving out of the house, like the freezer's defrosted and no one else is here to help with it. I was one that put the breakup statement out, so I was the one that looked like I was the strong one, and he was uploading him crying, all these self-help like quotes, bits and bobs, and I was like,
I just can't with the crying. I'm sorry. I know I'm so mean.
It's not mean, because he wasn't genuine either.
And I think
you didn't feel that was genuine.
I didn't feel like it was.
Did he cry to you or just online?
Genuine. He cried to me. We were both crying, like, and we were in hysterics. And again, like it's really bad and it's psychotic to a point that I've got recordings on my phone, because I was always like, I want to listen back to how I speak and what I say in arguments, and I would do that, and actually that's really not good. But now I listen back and I'm like, actually we were both distraught and we were both in a really bad place and we were both hurting, but actually it was just that, it wasn't just one-sided, but I just didn't feel publicly I wanted to put that out there, that I was crying and upset, and I didn't want people to see. And I'm very much like that. I've got a very thick outside, so I didn't want to let people know that how I was feeling on the inside, so I'd rather just keep moving.
I've gone through a public breakup though. It's just horrendous, because you've got so many people then judging you for something that you're going through when it's a really difficult time as it is. Just that's the last thing you need on top of it. Do you ever think you'll be friends with him?
No.
I kind of knew the answer to this.
No, I would walk past him in the
You've enough
street.
friends, like, what's the point of being friends with someone that you didn't get on with?
I'm
like?
trying to cut my friendship group down as it is. I mean, no one's making the cut. So I'm like, no, honestly, I would walk past him in the street and I'd keep walking.
Did you find that your friends, speaking of friendship groups, your friends were very helpful during your breakup? Both of you?
Yeah, mine were my rocks. You know, they helped me through it. Like because a lot of them were going through it at the same time as well. So there was that.
That not in a bad way, but that must have been like better for you that other people were going through it.
There was quite a few that lived around where I was living as well. And we
what was in the water?
We were just like we used to. I mean, I remember at Christmas we went to see Bad Moms. You know, and we were all the single moms all heading off to see Bad Moms together. But we had a little bit of a group, and it was really good and it really helped. I loved that group, and I can't remember during COVID what we called our group as well. But we helped each other through a lot actually. And then my friends back home as well. They've just that's why I moved back to Ireland as well, because this is where I need to be.
Yeah.
They're just the best, you know. Your old friends that you've had since you were a child, and know that you're not a bad person. They just weren't right for you. You know.
Yeah. I feel like your friends have no judgment. They're just there to kind of
no judgment,
protect you from all the crap.
Oh no, my friends judge me 100%, and I wouldn't be friends with them if they didn't. We're so harsh to each other. Like, they judge me, and I'm absolutely okay with it. They're like, "What? How are you still?" Like, for months, I'd be like, because I'd be telling them for months before, like, I don't want to be here, I want to break up. And they're like, well, just do it. So, do it. And they're so harsh with me.
That was it. I think it sounds like you were doing a bit of a long goodbye with him as well, because you knew it was over, but you were staying with him. So I'd say that when it ended,
nah, I just cut off and over.
Yeah, you were ready for it. When you decided, when you had a cup of tea and you decided to break up, I'd say that was coming such a long time. It wasn't as much of a shock, I'd say, because it sounds like you were ready for it for a long time.
Yeah,
I feel like when you go through a big breakup, in some kind of sense, you do start getting your ducks in a row a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I found that particularly with living with somebody and everything, you do have to consider, okay, where would I move if we break up? And
you're trying
thinking
to
logistically
your life,
to make, because
be?
that makes it harder, having to uproot your whole life. That just adds to the pressure and the sadness that you have to just change everything.
Yeah.
Is there any hobbies or anything you took up going through a breakup that you found good or helpful?
Well, I got my dog, so I mean, she was the biggest distraction. She was a 8-week-old puppy, so I mean,
it's like having a baby, a puppy, isn't it? It really is. The same.
And she was literally and to this day, she is my rock. And I could not have got through any of it without her. She is the only thing. So basically, you need to go and get yourself a dog, and that's the only thing. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's great to have that. It's
what did you do
as well? I just I love exercising. So I started running a lot more. But just I found that mentally really good for me too, as well as physically, just feeling fit, keeping on top of things. Because, you do when you get to a certain age as well, kind of go, I have to start looking after myself now as well. When you're in your 20s, you just literally don't think about it.
Yeah.
But I do, I'm so conscious of what I eat and the exercise and all of that now compared to
But it makes
before.
you feel better as well.
You
mentally,
feel good.
you're
you
just...
feel really, like the endorphins. I get huge endorphins after a workout session, So that's good.
Right, I have a question for both of you. What words of advice or encouragement do you have for people going through a heartbreak? Now that you're both out the other side.
I would just say, take your time, be you, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. You don't see it right now. You honestly don't, but actually it comes, and then as soon as you start to see it, that will blind you within a couple of days or weeks. Once you see the light, it's there, and it will instantly be bright. My light was driving down to Devon, going home, and I remember being on the motorway, driving with my stuff in the car, and I burst into tears, but they were happy tears, and I was like, I'm going home. I can cry about it now.
Yeah. I would say it's the same thing. Time is a healer. It just it doesn't seem it at the time.
I hate that, but it's so true.
But just be really kind to yourself, and treat yourself well and do nice things for yourself. Now you have that time back. Take yourself off to a spa for a day, or hang out with your friends a bit more.
Learn to love your own company.
And learn to enjoy and do a starfish in the bed. Go, no one annoying me, and just
Like, I
enjoy
hate
yourself.
being on my own, but when I went through that breakup, I was like, right, I'm gonna be on my own for as long as I can. And I like the first few months, you're like, I hate this, I
Yeah.
hate this, I hate this, and then eventually you're like, actually, I love
But
this.
isn't it such a
I
relief
love
though when
it.
you break up with someone that wasn't right for you? Isn't it not just such a relief that you don't have to be dealing with the pain of what was? Because when you look back and it's not great all the time. There was some good things. I'm not now when I
Loads
say
of
this,
arguments
I'm
and
not
stuff.
talking about my ex-husband. I'm talking about some relationship because I've had relationships since him. So it's not all. This is not all about Ben. I will say that. It's
It's
heartbreak in general.
Anything I've been saying. Because to be honest. I will say about me and Ben, we rarely argued. We actually got on so well as people and friends. But like I've been in relationships where I was in one and he was just fighting with me all the time. It wasn't a fight. He was like, real angry. And I was like, okay, I'm not like that with my friends. I've been married to a man for like 6 years. We were together 10, barely ever fought with him. Used to always go on holidays, always got on really well. Like we had the odd fight here and there. But like then I met this other lad and he's not just the only one, the other ones, they just love a fight. So when you get out of that, if you are in that kind of relationship, isn't it just such a relief not to be dealing with the stress of that?
That's
Bickering all the time, literally all the time. It's like, can't be dealing with that.
And don't stay in a relationship because you feel like you have to be in a relationship. Just like it's okay to be on your own.
Yeah, definitely. But I don't want to be left on the shelf, rusty, dusty, and musty forever. I will say that.
I don't think you will be.
No, I don't. But I've been on this quite a while. But I don't want to stay on it because I don't want to live this life alone. Like I don't.
Yeah.
I know I haven't. I'm not completely alone because I have got my children.
I have someone I could introduce you to, but like I just don't
don't
know.
do
I
that.
don't.
No. I think
We'll see.
that they're out there. Maybe I've already met them. You never know.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They could be. I don't know. But I just want peace.
Yeah.
I want to find a relationship that I can be really happy and at peace in.
And yourself. You just want to be able to be yourself.
Be
in that
yourself and
relationship.
be proud to be yourself. Not feel like you have to change. That's a lot of things in relationships as well. You have to change who you are to accommodate them, or they feel that you're. Why do you always do that? Why do you always do that? It's like that's me. You can't change me. We're obviously just not compatible. See ya.
And that's the end of our episode. See ya.
See ya. See you later, sucker.
And that is the end of another fantastic episode of Taboo Talk. We really hope you enjoyed it, and thank you so much to my amazing, honest and brave guests, Una Healy and Faye Winter. If you've enjoyed this app, please do rate, review and subscribe, or if you're watching us on YouTube, please do like, comment and subscribe because it really helps. See you next time.